This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience.
Episode 88, Goodbye Old Friend.
Hey. Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest. I'm John Miller. I'm really happy to have Scott Jacobs joining the show again out in California. How's it going, Scott?
It's going well, John. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. We missed you the last episode, and we are going to be leaving base camp this week. And it was a very, very short trip that we had at base camp in April 2007. It seems like it may have been several days, but it actually was only about, I want to say we were there for maybe 30 hours. It was a very, very short trip. This week we're going to be leaving. We get to go back to Old Tingri, which is not one of my favorite places. I've been fairly vocal about that, but I love Tibet. So in any case, let's head back up to base camp and let's start there at around 17,000 feet. So here we go. Alright, so this is the exterior of the famous Rongbuk Monastery, which is the highest monastery in the world. It's right outside of Everest Base Camp. Whenever you see pictures of the north face of Everest and you see a stupa in the foreground, it's taken from the Rongbuk Monastery.
Funny you say that. I was in a Tibetan shop, like a import shop last night, looking at postcards taken from Rongbuk Monastery.
Yep.
Explaining to a friend, pointing to a friend exactly where I was standing.
All right, so this is a pile of, obviously it looks like shattered stones with writing on them, and those are actually, I believe they're called Mani stones, and inscribed on those stones is the mantra, the Om Mani Padme Hum, and it's placed into like a pile, a cairn, and it's said to offer protection to anyone who is in its vicinity. So it's there to protect the monastery, as I understand it. There it is, off in the distance there. We're leaving just as the weather started to close in, and another snowstorm was starting to hit Everest, so the summit disappeared for a while there.
But I remember it had this beautiful feel about it. It's like an impending storm and impending snow, so the air is getting a little bit colder and the wind's picking up. Well, the ever-present wind at base camp is getting a little bit stronger, and it feels like one of those fall mornings where it's about to snow, even though this was the spring.
The Rongbuk Monastery was actually partially destroyed during the Cultural Revolution, and it's been rebuilt. I'm not sure exactly how that compares with the way it was before it was partially destroyed, but it's great to see that it's full of monks and nuns, and it's a real operating monastery again. That right there is a pile of yak dung. That's a fuel supply.
So I'm going to see here if I can get close to any yaks. Yaks are just kind of by design, they're a little bit skittish. They don't really like people coming up. Plus, yak herders are always throwing rocks at them to get them going in this direction or that. I'm going to see if I can get up close, get a little bit more footage.
You can see how small they are compared, to Scott. They're not much bigger than Scott. I don't think your horns are as sharp though, Scott.
Hello.
Good-natured, but pretty wary of these guys. Probably a little too close. They're wild. Well, maybe not wild, but they do have horns.
How are you?
I was pretty surprised at how close I was able to get to this one.
As you can see, I've gotten a little bit closer. This one, a little bit fearless. Came right up to me, but of course I don't have the horns that this guy has. Or this gal. I'm not quite sure, to tell you the truth. but curious nonetheless.
I think it's my wings. Yeah, I think they were interested in the big windscreen I have on the mic on my camera. It looks kind of like an animal. It's all furry. But my experience in 2003 was that you really didn't want to get too close to them because they weren't really happy with people. Even though they're domesticated, but they're treated pretty rough.
Yeah, imagine with the rock throwing and the constant herding, as a pack animal, they've got to be pretty wary of things on two legs that harass them.
Yeah.
Maybe not harass, but control their movement.
Definitely control. Yeah.
Powerful animals, though, they could certainly trample or hurt you.
I certainly don't blame them for being skittish, but they're not as large as cows. They're smaller, they're more agile, and obviously you can see that they're pretty well protected from the cold, and they're really adapted to the altitude up here. In fact, if they go down to lower altitudes, they can have difficulty. They actually have trouble. They have sort of like a reverse altitude sickness. It's really interesting. So all of the yaks, you don't see yaks at low altitude, you only see them up high. And they're extremely hardy creatures. They eat almost nothing, they drink almost nothing. Yet they just can go and go and go, and they can carry 70 kilos on their back. They're just amazing animals. And usually they're decorated. Most of the yak herders around here, they tie prayer flags and bells. These yaks are sort of off duty, but a lot of the time they'll have bells on them, and sometimes they'll dye their fur. Maybe that's marking, I don't know, but usually they're beautifully decorated. It's really nice to see.
And they're delicious.
I did have a lot of yak. I did eat a lot of yak.
Well, we're driving out of base camp. It was a very brief visit, but I think it was good. It was such a surreal experience to be back and to revisit so many memories and people. Met some friends, met some people I knew. I was pretty sure that was going to happen, but I wasn't 100% sure. And met some people that are really close friends with some of my close friends from 2003, so that was fun. And what do you think? How do you like it?
The feeling at base camp was great. Everybody's there on a mission. It's early enough that everybody's still pretty, not wary of the other camps, but just trying to remain polite. You can tell the experienced expeditions though, because before you get to their camp, they're saying, "Hey, come on over, come down." Met a very nice Russian today, and I invited us in for coffee. I'm a caffeine addict, and it was very, very grateful, well received. John talked shop, they talked about cameras, and had a little exchanging of ideas, which was great. So I had a good time today. We spent all day up at base camp. I got up relatively early and made the trip up, and just truly had a good time.
I know, I guess it's just time to say goodbye once again to Chomolungma and Mother Goddess of the Earth, Mount Everest. And we're heading to Tingri tonight. That will be fun. I was kind of hoping to avoid Tingri, but what are you going to do? And then tomorrow to Zhangmu. And I don't know, maybe we could check out that hot spring in Tingri tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I brought my shorts.
And then we'll go to Kathmandu and finish out the trip. So it's been a good one. Even though it wasn't exactly what we were expecting.
You gotta roll with it.
You roll with it. And but again, I got to meet a lot of people, got to share a lot of tea with a lot of really good people. These are really good people out here. And I got to spend a lot of time with our driver and guide, who are tremendous. So I think that this trip is downright success, at least for me.
Absolutely. I just, as I've said all along, since touching down, especially since getting to Lhasa, words are, it's kind of hard to describe. John is much more eloquent, but I've been having a great time. Fully successful.
And we just spent a lot of time staring at the mountain today, so that was good. That's always good.
I sat down in the middle. I walked a little ways away from some of the camps. Found a nice quiet spot with a good quarter-mile circle, and just sat and watched Chomolungma for a while, and it was wonderful, just wonderful.
And I think I forget if I said this on camera already, but I've been saying it to Scott and some of the other climbers that it is wonderful to be back here and visit base camp, but it is wonderful to know I don't have another 50 days to stay up there. Although if I did, I'd make the best of it, but I'm looking forward to getting home to Heidi.
I'll admit, I wish I had a little while longer. I met a very, very cute Belgian climber today. We flirted for quite a while. So.
Oh, that's right.
It was
leaving tonight is unfortunate.
It wasn't just him
on
flirting
duty.
with her; she was flirting with him. So, yeah. Oh well. There'll be more in the future.
Hopefully.
All right. So goodbye, Chomolungma.
Goodbye, Chomolungma.
Do you remember we stopped at a spring that was flowing under the road or across the road? And Younglaw was all excited. And I guess it was some sort of spring with some sort of religious significance. And he was all excited to grab a bottle of water, and he filled one up for me, and I actually still have that water in a bottle somewhere.
Oh, you're kidding me. I know he gathered a bunch of water for his wife. Do you remember this little guy? He was great.
Yeah.
We came driving up, and he comes running out from the house. And, I had a couple of chocolate bars that I purchased. I forget which town. And Lobsang had some oranges, and so we gave him the little guy. He was grateful. Immediately went for the chocolate.
We ended up trying to get to Tingri over some, I wouldn't really call them roads. They're more like four-wheel drive trails. And there's a lot of them back there. And we got a little turned around. And so this is the equivalent of pulling over to a gas station in Tibet and asking directions.
You know what I found interesting about this, though, is we're at a house right now. We're at someone's house. And that just happens to be on one of these little dirt roads. And it was, of course, I don't understand what they're saying, but it just, through body language, it did not seem like a big deal. This is late, and we're lost.
He's slightly lost.
He's just giving us directions, being happy about it.
Not quite sure where we are. It's very dark out.
Getting directions, though.
Yeah, we've cranked down the window, pulled up to a Tibetan gas station. Our ass out.
I'm pretty sure this is a Tibetan household.
Yeah.
But of course, in true Tibetan style, they come right out and they're not troubled. No shotgun.
No.
Yeah, we left base camp a little bit later than they typically would because we wanted to stay there as long as possible. So I think it caught everyone by surprise that we hadn't made enough progress by the time it got really dark. But we did make it to Old Tingri and got into our tea house. It was cool because there were these young Tibetan kids here. They must have been in late teens, maybe early 20s.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun just to watch how they, passed the time. They're playing some card games, and I think we explained it a little bit. I think Lobsang explains it a little bit on camera here in a minute, but part of it is sticking pieces of paper to your face, I guess, when you're losing. But they were having a really, really good time, really enjoying themselves. You look tired.
That's one of the things I love about these tea houses, though, is that there are many people using them, and it's just a rest. You just do a lot of sitting and a lot of thinking. It's sometimes too dark to read, and a lot of just drinking tea. You're just in the moment. It's good.
And those guys there are hardcore, man. They're playing cards for money. There's the money on the table.
They're all about business.
They're not having anywhere near as much fun as the kids are. You can see that these places are actually pretty relaxing.
So here in Tingri, people are passing the time playing. What are they playing over here?
It's just kind of game. I mean the Chinese game. Like whosoever lose, I mean they have to stick up some kind of paper on their face.
So you could see that one of the girls is not doing very well.
Yeah, she's losing badly.
She's got paper all over her face. And then the fellows across from us are playing real cards. They're playing for money.
Yeah.
There's money on the table.
Yeah.
And they don't look quite as happy.
Yeah.
And Scott's hungry.
Yeah.
I am very hungry. I've only eaten once today, and I'm not happy.
I think it's great. That one little bit of footage there is some of my favorite because it kind of shows what it was like to hang with Lobsang. Because the footage that I have of him doesn't really show too much what he's really like. He's actually just a really laid-back guy and just a lot of fun, and he's smiling all the time, except for in most of the footage I have of him. So that little bit of footage with me and him, he's smiling the whole time, and just you can tell he's enjoying himself. So it's good to see. I actually just got an email from him. I hadn't heard from him in a while, but he and his family are doing really well. And wanted to thank again everyone for the donations, and I'm still getting donations, so that's really great. Really appreciate everyone who is continuing to donate to Lobsang. I'll be sending another Western Union money transfer to him soon. So, all right. Well, next week we're gonna actually get the camera hijacked by a local Tingri man, and he goes and films a lot of stuff all on his own, which is kind of interesting to see, and really enjoy watching that stuff. So thanks so much, Scott. It's great to have you back.
John, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and everyone, we will see you next week. So bye. The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every week. If you enjoy watching and would like to show your support, then take a look at my website. Aside from having lots of additional blog entries from the expedition updated every week, there's this little donation button on every page. Now, many of you have pressed that button, and your generous contributions are helping to cover my hosting fees. If you haven't donated but would like to, then just contribute any amount. In return, I'll give you access to the video and audio dispatches I sent out while we were actually at Everest. It's pretty interesting stuff. Contribute $25 or more, and I'll even throw in an iPod-compatible version of the film Everest: The Other Side. That's the project the entire podcast here is based on. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywu.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.